anything. So I'll pull in Ernest. What's going on, Ernest?
Hello, everybody. How's my sound?
You're a Thomist, right?
No.
Or okay, well, explain your position then. I'm sorry.
I try to hold as close as I can to Eastern theology, so I would be the opposite of a Thomist, practically. I hold to essence-energy distinction, that. Do I need to go more in depth?
Considering I don't know what any of the things you just said are, yes.
Okay. So, our difference from Thomists would be... Hold on, let me close my window. Right. So, Thomists, they affirm the absolute divine simplicity, which is, to put in like the simplest terms, would be equalizing God as a person to his essence. So whatever essential attributes there are, they would be basically the same as God. God is the essence and that's it. I find that problematic, so I believe that the essence that God possesses is distinct or different from the persons of God, which would be Father, Son, and Spirit. And it would be distinct from the operations or energies of God, which is like his actions in the world.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, okay, so you think that the attributes of God are separate from the identity of God or identities of God?
So they would not be separate, as in they are not separated by time or space, obviously, but they would be. I'm sorry, what was the term you used? From the identity of God?
Yeah, because you said it's different from the Father, Son, Spirit, or whatever.
Right. So specifically, it would be different from the essence. And by essence, we don't really mean like identity or a set of attributes. In Eastern theology, essence is seen as wholly incomprehensible. So we couldn't even say that, for example, the essence is holy, because the word holy wouldn't even begin to grasp what the essence truly is. So we would speak in it in the sense of, I believe it's called anaphatic theology, where you say that it is not holy or it is not unholy. But you cannot affirm any attribute.
The correct word there,
it.
Ernest, the correct word is apophatic, not aphatic.
Apophatic. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I have literally no idea what to say in response to that.
I mean, I'm not sure why I was asked that.
Can you give an argument for your position? Maybe Peterson can sort of take a look at it.
I wouldn't be able to give an argument for why do we need to believe in essence-energy distinction outside of like, well, other Christian views are problematic, and this is the view that is most consistent.
No, just like the God thing.
Just the God thing.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with C.S. Lewis' argument from reason?
Maybe. I've maybe heard it before, but I wouldn't be able to, like, I don't have a label for it.
I think it is a form of transcendental argument. Maybe someone brought it up in some form, but it's not like the pre-sup J. Dyer transcendental argument. It's more down to the ground. So basically, if all that you are is matter sloshing around and energy transferring back and forth as a product of, the causal chain of events way back from the beginning of the universe to now, if that is all you are and that is all your brain is, on what basis should you trust your own rationality?
Oh, yeah. So I have heard this before. It's just been couched in different ways. Usually people say something like, under naturalism or according to evolution, you can't even know that your own thoughts are like truth checking or something like that. But no, I would just say, first of all, we can't prove that there are other minds no matter what you believe, so we just begin with that as like a presupposition or whatever. We have tests for whether or not somebody's like, we have the ability to diagnose psychosis and all kinds of other things, right? And through, I think, mathematics and science and some other tools that we have, I think we have I think we have pretty good methods for taking people's thoughts and logic through a sequence to see if it meets the if it meets the general person's, or the people participating in the discussion, at least, their idea of, or their concept of true, right? Like corresponding with reality or whatever. And then I could give a defense naturalistically or biologically, like it absolutely is the case that an organism that is able to create a mental model of its surroundings would have a survival advantage. So I don't need to, well, I won't say it that way, I guess, but the idea that in general our senses are truth tracking is, I think, totally consistent and defensible for multiple reasons.
Okay, so to say that, well, we can look at all the, methodologies we have to describe the world, and we have the evolutionary theory according to which it would be better for our survival that our senses are truth tracking, right? Wouldn't all of those things be appealing to rationality, which is in question? Because all of those are like rationally developed good theories.
Validate reason, then you lost the debate immediately.
Yes, but I'm not in the framework under which the reason is self-defeating. So it would just defeat the framework of naturalism, but because I don't accept that problem, I can still argue.
I didn't hear a critique of naturalism. I heard a critique that that knowledge can be, or whatever. You didn't say knowledge specifically, but whatever is in question. I heard a critique of whatever is in question here. Reason cannot be the grounding or justification for it. And if you're going to then go on to tell me why, then you lose. It's unwinnable. Because you're going to give me reasons.
Right, so I just need to show how is reason unusable in your position, but not in my position. So I guess
you wouldn't
what
be
is
able to use reason. So I don't know why. I don't know how. This isn't unique to your like world link, but it's just no matter what angle you were trying to approach it in, Western theology or Eastern theology or whatever, if you're going to I've already said this, but if you're going to try to give me reasons why reason can't be the grounding, then you lose. Like, you can't. It's like saying, oh, we live in a post-truth world. Is what you just said true? Because if it is, then your claim is false.
Okay, I understand the issue.
Yep.
So the argument is not against reason across the board. It is more to try and provide, like, what would be that's where the transcendental part comes in. What is necessary, or what would allow for reason to exist and be reasonable, be reliable. So it's not against reason as a whole.
Sure, I can get that. I think I already gave answers for that, though.
Yeah, so what do you think about the issue that in your answer you would still appeal to reason and not to something that would justify reason itself?
Are you accusing me of like being circular?
Yeah,
Like
pretty
is
much.
that the problem? Oh, okay.
I think yes.
Sure. I mean, at some point when you say, and what's the reason for that? And what's the reason for that? We get to the bottom of something. And I don't know if like epistemic dead ends are always circular, or if you just end in something that's brute, maybe that isn't necessarily circular. But the way I think about this, and we've never talked, and I don't know if you even know who I am, but I've read exactly 0 philosophy books. So I think about this Like I'm not going to have the vocabulary and the formality to really go deep into this. But the way I think of this is I don't really view something like reason or an enterprise like science as being circular. I think of them as being recursive. So like grammar does this. The only way you can demonstrate the validity of a grammatical statement or whatever, or the rules of grammar, is linguistically, grammatically. But it's not circular, it's recursive. So it reflexively validates itself. Now, I think science does that because of science's continued ability to produce reliable results. And so for reason, I would just say what we are always engaging in, reason is just a description of the process we undertake when we're trying to deliberate about literally anything. So it's always going to be reason. So it's recursive in that way. So that's why I just don't think that this is really conquerable, I guess.
So I believe that is where the argument's supposed to be going. And yes, you're absolutely right. It will be circular at some point. As like probably any argument or any worldview, it would end in a circle or self-recursion. But here, the dichotomy we would have is either a virtuous circle, where you can affirm the proposition and strengthen it by the virtue of that circle, or it will be self-defeating. And if we grant the naturalistic, atheistic universe, shout out Taco, then we would have to say that, well, yeah, rationality is just matter sloshing around, but because of all those rational reasons, it isn't. But then we just never escape the issue. We're still at the rationality being matter moving, energy sloshing, and not really being rational. Whereas,
No, I think you could overtake this by just having some sort of computational theory of mind. So if a computer, if all it does is take in inputs from the environment and then is able to spit out outputs, and if it does that in some sort of sense, reliably or algorithmically, then the computer reliably produces outputs based on inputs. And if I take that kind of theory of mind, then I can understand that no matter who it is, whether it's you, me, Tacos, Happy, JL, Warren, or Kurt, or whoever, then as long as our minds are broadly intact, then I can expect the same kinds of results. And I think we have methods. Science is just an example of one, but like science and mathematics, and I think linguistically we have this. It's my belief that logic is just a grammatical formalization of a part of the way I made that more complicated than it needs to be. I think logic is purely grammatical, right? And so if we have these systems for going over and diagnosing whatever we're trying to do, then I think that process can be sort of like self-validating. And so I've given a justification for reason. I'm not really telling you where it comes from. I'm just describing to you why it works under my worldview and why I don't think you need anything else outside. Of course, there are like presuppositions I have to make about this. But what I like about my presuppositions is that everybody shares them. Nobody doesn't agree that there's a universe out there. Nobody doesn't agree that there are thinking members that are participating in this conversation or in taking in information from their environment, etc.
the computer objection, I believe, is one of the main ones to the argument, and I think it's a good one, because either you would have like the theist affirming that, well, computers are rational and, I don't know, they have free will, or maybe something else. The way I see the computer example as falling short of being sufficient is that computers would be made by this rational, reasonable mind. So, and therefore it's perfectly fine for them to be those rational, kind of rationality simulating machines. As it would be reasonable for us to have like buildings, all those cool evolutionary theories, science, it would be reasonable for us to have those if we are intelligent minds. But if we are mere matter, then it would seem like an accident that it all happened.
I wish I could remember, because it would be my response right now. But a couple of years ago, I talked to a computer scientist. We had a really long, like 2-hour conversation. And like I basically asked, it started off with, what is a computer? And I don't remember exactly how he defined it. But then at some point in the debate, I asked him, is a human a computer? And is the universe a computer? And he just referred back to the definition of it he gave to me. And then he was like, okay, well, the universe has that, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't know what to say. But like, I take your point that computers are made. I was like, well, okay, but I think computation is something that we can say exists in nature and isn't like teleologically created. Again, I could take a theory of mind like that. I wouldn't know how to give you the argument that the universe is a computer, that Earth is a computer. But I can totally believe that some organisms, if they have a nervous system, are biological robots, right? Like they are a computer in a very complex sense, but also in a very literal sense too.
I mean, that's fine. I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I believe that we and computers share a lot of similarities. Computational power itself. I'm not sure what does it do to like the primary issue in the argument of like, well, does the reason
because
have
you
reason?
said computers are created, and then
Yeah.
I would just reject the premise that human beings are created teleologically. We just exist in nature. There's a naturalistic account for why we have brains and can do what we are doing.
Okay, I understand how all of those things are the case under the naturalist account. But under the naturalist account, would it not be true that all of those things are also just pure accidents, and apart from the causality of, again, particles bumping around, there isn't really something more to it? We would just be lucky to have this.
Well, you're using a lot of loaded language when you say it's an accident. That can mean different things. I think what people mean when they say that, although they don't realize it, is that, I've already said this, but there's no teleology behind it. It didn't happen for a reason. But accidental can also, some people mean like it happens randomly, but something happening randomly and something happening dysteleologically are completely different things. For the computational theory of mind, that absolutely depends on the laws of physics. So it's dysteleological, but it's not random, because the laws of the underlying laws of nature are not random. Now you could argue what they happen to be could have been anything. So it's like random that the set of laws that we have is what they are, sure. But as they are actually existing, they are not random because they don't fluctuate or anything like that. So no, the human brain, mind, whatever, as a computer is totally it relies on physics, and it's not random at all.
Yeah, by accidental, I didn't mean no reason. Obviously, like, a rock falling is not a rational being thinking, right? But a rock
I
would fall
promise I'll
because
shut
the
up,
wind
but I
would
want
blow.
to
Oh,
say
sure.
something else to make this more clear. It is guided. Just because it's dysteleological doesn't mean it's not guided. It's just that it's not guided consciously. Like the rock falling, that is guided. The person taking in sensory input from the environment, and then neural integration, and then hallucinations, which we call thoughts, happen. That is guided. It's just dysteleological. So go ahead.
Yeah, totally agree here. like if a rock falls, we wouldn't say that rock fell for no reason. No, rock fell because, for example, the wind blew or whatever. There is a reason behind it. It might not be because the wind is actually a Greek god, but still. And here, the issue I see is, how is everything still being part of the causal chain, everything having a reason for it happening, but that reason not being anything teleological? How is that any helpful for your case? Because you're still having sort of an irrational mechanistic chain of events controlling what we do.
Oh, sure. Well, I feel like I already answered that several times. We have the methods for testing whether they are truth tracking, the evolutionary justification for why we would have truth tracking, the ability to have truth tracking thoughts and things like that. But I think the other strongest thing, or something very strong for me in this, is I think theism completely blows this up, and it's very weird the way people make this kind of argument. I'm gonna change the subject, but I promise it's relevant, and I'll bring it back. So when people bring up something like fine tuning or the constants of nature, only a god could do that. And to me, and so therefore it's evidence of God. I think no, actually, only a god could make the laws of nature fluctuate constantly and just always be like total chaos. But perhaps he puts us in a little bubble, a cocoon, a firmament, some might say, where nature remains consistent, but we can look out into the rest of the cosmos and see that literally the constants are totally fluctuating. The force of gravity literally changes everywhere all the time. That would be extraordinary evidence that nature is not sufficient. Okay. And now this thing about, you say, this criticism you give about like, well, if it's not created by something that is rational, if there's no teleology, then why would I trust it? God would be the best possible explanation for my thoughts betraying me literally all the time, for nature being a hallucination. In fact, historically, that's what the gods did. Loki was a trickster. Yahweh is a trickster in the Bible. There's a really compelling case that I can't remember if it's in Jacob or Joshua, but the thing with the sheep that they carve some sticks and the sheep end up with spots on them or whatever. There's a really compelling case that God's actually playing a trick on somebody, right? So, and like, you never said you were a Christian or anything like that, but it doesn't matter, because in the pantheon of gods, they've all had that element within them, right? So no, actually, I think theism makes that just incredibly more likely.
That is a fair point. What I would say is that me sort of holding to the fact that life is all, a gaze put on by the omnipotent God, I would just escape that with Occam's razor. Why should I hold to this unnecessarily if I have no reason to hold to this? And though it is plausible,
Well,
gone.
You'd be violating Occam's razor, though, because remember I said earlier, what I like about my presuppositions is we all have them. I don't think you actually would disagree with anything I said other than my conclusions, right? You don't disagree that we do have brains, and that we have rational thinking, and that we, take in information from the environment and all that. So like, I don't think, like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you actually really disagree with any of the presuppositions I have, do you?
No, probably I agree with
Sure.
most of them. I probably live by most of them.
Yes, but then you add God. So you've totally violated parsimony by doing that.
Yeah, but my worldview of how many presuppositions I have would be a separate issue from whether I live thinking that it's all a haze and illusion created by God to deceive me.
But I don't think that had anything to do with what I said in response to what you said right before that, the Occam's razor thing.
Right, I was just referring to the fact that I would have no reason to, apart from like this being a potential possibility, I would have no reason to hold that belief and artificially like worsen my life.
I mean, okay. I'm just not really sure if that does anything for anything.
Okay,
I don't know.
let me push it a bit. So I agree that this is a possibility. If God is real, there is a non-zero chance of him being a wild trickster and pulling a huge prank on all of us. And
Yeah.
maybe the laws of
Real
nature will
bad
switch up
man.
tomorrow. Right. But then, and would you agree or not, that if we grant that God is real, then he could potentially provide a perfectly fine explanation for how reason and rationality can be the case. He could be a really solid ground for it.
So this is going to sound a little bit cop-outy, but the way I think of this is yes and no. Can I imagine it? Yes. But the problem with the conception of God is that it's not a working theory. It doesn't actually make any predictions, and it doesn't really seem to have falsifiability criteria or anything like that. And I think the main reason for that is because if God is this omni thing, then God could do anything. So no matter what the state of affairs things happen to be in, that's consistent with God. So it blows up any explanation or any explanatory power, because, ironically, an idea that explains everything explains nothing in particular.
That's a good point. I mean, I am a Christian. Full disclosure, right? I'm a Christian, so we will be talking specifically about the Christian God, and there are more, again, specific things that we would have to affirm about him. The generic God, yeah, generic God doesn't really mean anything. It just gives us more questions to answer than actual answers. Oh, where was I? So yes and no. You mean conceptually you can understand where I'm coming from, but no, you believe that it still wouldn't give sufficient explanation.
That's a pretty good way of putting it. Yeah.
Right. So I will at least try to work with this. If conceptually you can, imagine a world where that works and God is this foundation for rationality and reason, then all I would have to do is compare it to your view of the world, which has no God and everything is the mechanistic cause and effect. And then I would have to look for this foundation of rationality and reason. And as we said before, rationality is defined by being guided by reason. But if all you're being guided by is this mechanistic cause and effect, just particles bumping into one another, then there is no such thing as reason, no such thing as rationality. And all of your theories would be, and I'm using this word colloquially, accidental. They would just so happen to be this way.
Well, I mean, I don't think reason has ontological status. I don't think the scientific method has, would you agree with this? The scientific method does not have ontological status.
I mean, as a concept that we share, maybe. I'm not sure.
I mean, it's a series of steps that we do, and it's always different every single time. We didn't discover the scientific method; we invented it.
Right.
And so when I say because you said, now I'm forgetting why I'm bringing this up, but it was something like you were invoking reason as if it's a thing we latch on to in order to do what it is we're trying to do. No, I think reason, and I've already stated this, it's just a description of what we do. And so to what you just said, I would just have to repeat pretty much everything I've already said up to this point.
Mm-hmm. I would agree that reason is a description for what we do. But you being reasonable and you doing, I don't know, doing logic, and yeah, logic is not the same as reason, but you doing all this reasonable, intelligent, rational stuff, it wouldn't be, you would agree probably that it wouldn't be the same as, me or a bird throwing rocks at the ocean, or gravity pulling things apart or together. Sorry.
I would agree. You're asking me if I agree that reason is something different other than gravity. Like what gravity
more
does
broad.
to the oceans, reason is something qualitatively different than that.
Yeah, reason would be sort of a unique thing to speak about in the universe.
Ultimately, I would say no, because I don't believe in free will, and I would adopt a computational theory of mind. And so I would say mine is this thing we're describing is vastly more complicated, kind of like the weather. I mean, the weather, there's no formula for the weather. There's a formula for gravity. It's pretty crazy to think about that I can perfectly describe Earth's motion around the sun in one equation, but you can do that. You cannot do that for the weather, for example. But nobody doesn't agree that the weather isn't just at the mercy of physics or whatever. And that's how I feel about us too. You can't put me into an equation. I'm built different, but I still don't, I just don't view that we're ultimately at the mercy of anything other than physics.
Fair enough. And yeah, not to go around in circles, I'll probably wrap it up here. I will try to look up and search and give you next time maybe a better answer about the computational theory, so we can push it even more.
Okay, yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, good discussion.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you for coming up.
So yeah, you don't
And
think?
then we've got.
Go ahead.
Oh, we don't have anybody else in the back. Okay. I'm trying to find a theist right now, but if you want to talk to J Money, J Money's got the audience is just demanding somebody besides J Money. But
No, go ahead, man. You guys, Leo.
Soul Cipher, get up here and debate Planet Peterson or Missing Mod. That would be fun. The Freak. Have you debated the
That's
Freak?
what I'm saying. You need to jump up here.
I doubt it.
You need to get up here now.
Right. Have you dealt with many agnostics in the circles you run in?
Ag or ig?
Agnostic, atheist.
No, well, I mean, they're on my side for the most part, so I wouldn't really have a reason to. There's agnostic one from politics, and a guy that I'm kind of friends with, Future Nightmares. He considers himself an igtheist. Kelly from the Atheist Experience, he's an igtheist too, but we've never really talked about it. I get what they're saying. It's actually, I don't consider myself one because I just don't care enough. Even if it was what I believed, I just don't care enough to put in any effort into it. But
they're all atheists.
It's hard.
Anyways,
it's hard not to be pulled into it, because I make these kinds of arguments. Like, even when you can use vocabulary terms for God, like all loving,
general conception of like a classical God would be a personal deity that's the creator of all things, and sometimes they add on additional attributes, right? And so that's what most people are talking about, or sometimes it's polytheist or whatever else, but most of the time what we debate is that atheist is an appropriate label, agnostic is just additional baggage. I don't think it's necessary. They're all atheists for every god they encounter, except for dog poop. But dog poop's just not it. What's up, Leo?
I mean, I've never understood that objection that, well, you're an atheist about every other god. Well, no, because an atheist doesn't believe in any. They believe in at least one. So they're not atheist about anything.
Right. What's up, Frosty?
Hey, I'm sorry, that was really aggressive there.
But
I've been here for a while, so I don't know why. Every time I come here, it's like I'm a stranger again. But you guys never remember me, I guess. So, yeah.
Oh, I've seen you around here before
Who are you?
Yeah.
a few times.
Anyways, are you a theist or an atheist or agnostic, or what position do you hold, Frosty?
Tacos, I'm actually a Christian who also believes in a form of divine simplicity, you could say, but it's more rigid. I have a belief that there was a phase, the light of creation is God, and creation itself is a separate entity that uh, is a sort of like unbeing or something. So everything forms out of that unbeing, a particular void, you could say. The void is exactly the same as unbeing. So what happens is there's a kind of intermingle between light and dark that creates what we call perceptive sense, the actual perceptive sense. So if we were born according to evolution, I'd say that we wouldn't exactly be able to have the sense of meaning associated with things. It would just be arbitrary. Yeah, that's my stance.
Is that something you'd like to engage with?
I feel like we a little bit. I mean, I'm not super like it would be okay to like talk about because it's a discussion on like value judgments, and it's like I mean I'm okay to talk about that, but it would probably it wouldn't last very long. But I'm fine with it. I'm gonna go get water though real quick, so I'll be like it'll take like
Yeah,
30 seconds.
sure.
Sure.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah, Equinox theists are all functional atheists. You're not wrong. They live and they use tools that are only possible in the not God world.
I wonder if he agrees with some of my points of how life embodies and transfers over.
I mean, you can jump back in and ask if you like.
I mean, nah, I'm giving everybody a shot to, you know what I'm saying? I want fresh takes. I want, you know what I'm saying? Everybody knows my arguments.
Yeah,
already, you get what I'm saying?
You're right. Frosty's brand new to the panel.
That's
He's
what
never
I'm
been
saying.
up here before. That
I
would be a
prefer-
good.
Yeah,
that could be a good conversation because he's brand new and never been up here before.
like,
So for the most part, what you guys were talking about earlier.
Maybe just turn off your mic when you're not talking. But you said you wanted to talk to Planet Peterson about some type of like reincarnation thing. It sounded like.
Oh, nah, I was saying like, because I have this supposition of mine based on what I observe in life and, you know, how we incarnate and how we die and the physical matter that makes us up, you know, there's like a system of recyclement with that. You know, we have things that of beings that died before us. So it's like the universe already shows me a system. Well, not the universe, the earth itself shows me a system of recyclement when it comes to our physical matter. I wonder if there's something like that out there that we maybe not have detected yet that works within us, fundamentally within us, that allows us to live like a life force, if you will, that embodies with us at birth and then leaves us at death and then has the option to do it again. You know, it wouldn't, in my supposition, it wouldn't have memories of past lives because it's just life happening. You know, it's like, I don't know. What do you think about that, Mr. Peterson?
Not much.
Big peepee.
I mean, I guess, but you don't think that that's even remotely possible that something in us could be like, you know, responsible for us being even able to experience consciousness, because it is an emergent quality of the brain, something physical that just produces this. I'm thinking maybe there's something in us.
That has nothing to do with what you were saying before. I think that we experience consciousness because we have extremely complex brains.
True, but yeah,
can we
sorry.
pass down our ability to experience things after death across generations between species and stuff like that? No, I don't see any reason to think that's the case.
Well,
Until we start uploading our minds to the web or whatever, the cloud.
well, I hear you. I just always figured that, you know, my hunch is we won't know what happens until we die anyway, right? So, can you really know with certainty that nothing comes after? Does it fade to black like surgery when they put you to sleep that way, or is there something more? That's obviously a question we won't ever get answered in this lifetime. Would you agree? Like, there's no way to finitely say there's nothing more.
Yeah, I think I agree.
You see what I'm saying? So as long as that's the case, there's always room for more. And when I try to like look at our best science today, and I look at where we still have questions, like certain parts of the death process, like we still learning about that, like what, the order of which things die. Everything doesn't die at once. It's not like, okay, the brain died and everything else is dead. No, other things die at their own pace and rate. And, the way cells work and just reality, the way it all works, it's just, we finding out so much more. I wonder if maybe with more delicate tools, we can do better science and uncover something more out there. That's what I suppose. I don't know. What do you think that's like impossible? You could hurt
I
my
don't even
feelings.
know what you're saying.
I mean, it's all good, man. I'm going with what I feel is the edge of science and what it knows. It's still asking questions about the brain and the mind and, the process of death. We still learning things about how certain forces work. We don't know everything about alternate realities and black holes, and we got the particle accelerator doing all kinds of experiments. So life is still a big old mystery. You see what I'm saying? And what I'm supposing is, something that could fit in that, like that could possibly, like, I don't know, like get us some sort of explanation, because I don't think that life ends with this, man. I don't think we could just live and do all these kind of bad things and kill people. There's people that do all kinds of atrocities, and I feel like there's a system where they have to pay for that. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just me. I wonder. I just wonder what you thought about that. If it was plausible, if it just sounds crazy, or what.
It doesn't sound like anything to me.
Okay, so you don't see it remotely possible at all, right? Like you can't conceive of reality where that's the reality.
That's not exactly what I meant, but no, I don't believe in hell.
No, not hell. I'm not describing hell. I'm saying that our actual life now, the way you incarnated now, the way you sit on that chair. You see the way you sit on that chair right now, like you incarnated. You was a baby at one point. You're gonna grow up. You're gonna live your life, hopefully a very long one. And then, as for all of us, it's gonna come to an end. All I'm supposing is that there's something in us that like allows that seed to sprout, like it's like a kickoff. You know what I'm saying? That embodies with us as a child until our ability to retain memories happen, and then it dies, and then it leaves us and it rejoins the environment, and then it does it again in another creature that we have no connection to. Every time it does it, we'll always feel like it's the only one life we have to live. You know what I'm saying? Because there's like a life force out there. I don't know. I do feel like there's something. Now it's all good. I was just, putting forth my theories, wondering, but it doesn't seem to be triggering anything or like summoning a response. But you know, I was just curious because that's what I truly believe. I really believe this. You know what I'm saying? Like I really believe that there's a life beyond this one. I doubt we close our eyes and there's nothing more. Like if that's the case, man, then I'm wrong. Like whatever, but like I can't shake that gut feeling. Anybody could step in if they want. You know what I'm saying? Or you could respond, Planet Peterson, but that's just what I was presenting. So you don't have a view of an afterlife, like you don't have a concept of that, like you don't think that there could be anything or have a guess.
No.
It's just fades to black.
There could be one. I am without belief about it, but I would suspect that nothing happens.
Okay, like so have you ever had surgery? I've had surgery 4 times, and
yeah, I've had a bunch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you've been under the anesthesia, you think it's like that, like comparable to that?
No, it's so much worse than that. It's like what it was like before you were born. You didn't even know you existed. So when I die, I won't even know that I ever existed, which is the exact same thing as nothing ever having existed, which is the same thing as nothing, which is very, very deeply unsettling, and it makes literally no sense. But
you see, that's where my supposition comes in, because if there's even the slightest chance that that could be the case, then it would make sense, because whatever's in you now would rejoin the environment, and it would do it again, and there would be another you, but you wouldn't know because it's a different brain, it's a different being, it's a different set of circumstances, but there's something in you that ties you from existence to existence. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm supposing. That's what I'm saying. Like a system of consciousness, and God is the highest. You know what I'm saying? And the way we have like a higher consciousness level than animals, maybe our consciousness, maybe there's something higher than ours out there somehow. At the end of the day, no, we have questions. We have questions and we need answers. Like, for example, all the ins and outs of dark matter and, dark energy, like that's 97% of the universe right there. And we don't know nothing really about it. So if that's not room for mystery, then what is? Like, I always say here all the time, absolute reality is stranger than your best science fiction. And I'm talking about absolute real reality that's happening now all across all portions of the known universe. Stranger than your strangest science fiction.
I just wanted to provide some clarification. We actually know quite a bit about dark matter. We know how it affects galaxy rotation. We know a bit about how it affects how galaxies form and how galactic filaments behave. We know how it behaves when galaxies collide with each other. We don't know what it is in terms of assuming it has some like underlying particle structure. We don't know what that particle is. But we know a decent amount about dark matter. We certainly know enough to say that it's there. And just to take that a step further, a good way that I like to characterize this is that it's like having a box, and you can't take the lid off the box and you can't see inside the box, but you can shake it. And when you shake it, you hear something moving around inside. So clearly there's something in the box. You know enough to know that there's something in the box. Even if you don't know what that thing is, you know that it's there. You know that it's in the box. You might be able to pick the box up, move it around, and get an idea of how heavy it is, or, learn certain properties about what it is, even if you can't really pin down what it is. Dark matter, something like that. We know it's there. We know how it behaves with respect, at least, to a lot of its gravitational effects, assuming that it even has any other effects. We just don't know what the thing that's doing the gravity, so to speak, is.
And that right there is a big, big question, right? I mean, to answer that would be crazy. Imagine to be able to manipulate that somehow.
I mean, it's Nobel Prize worthy, certainly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I see. And I'm like, those are still questions we have. So as silly as it sounds, as much as it'll make you face palm, that will just it doesn't answer the questions, right? We still have the question.
So Eon is I believe he's a Catholic, right?
No, I'm a true apostolic. I'm a Christian, a real one,
Gotcha.
not a fake one.
Trapostolic.
True
Up in the trap.
apostolic. Yeah, I follow the apostles.
real
I'm the
trap
same
shit.
denomination as the apostles.
Nice.
We make it look easy.
So Eon
I
said
say
that
this:
he had
I'm what
waited
the Eastern Orthodox
previously,
pretend to be.
and he said he wanted to destroy you, basically.
Oh, snap.
We
Get,
talked before, I believe. I mean, I just completely destroyed him before. So sorry, there's some confusion there, but it's getting worked out. So, what's your problem with God and Christianity in general?
What do you mean by problem? Like, why do I hate God, or why do I not believe in God?
Well, I think why you hate God is a little bit deep. Maybe we can get into that later, but why do you reject reality is my question, really.
I don't reject reality. It's right there.
Right where? Where are you pointing to?
Well, out my window.
Okay. Is it in your mind as well?
The way I experience it is I create mental models or whatever of it.
Yeah, like the whole world we see around us is actually inside of our brains, right? Like, you agree with that, with the science?
The world that we see is a mental conception, yeah, but the world is not what I couldn't tell if you said the world is our mind or the world we experience.
I think
is
it's
our
both,
mind.
right? Well, like, it has to be, because the world is just waves and energy, and then our minds sort of decrypt that into what we experience, right?
Okay, so is this bloodbath going to be over? Why do you hate Christianity? To Eric,
It depends on
know
him.
what
I
it's
don't know,
about.
like I don't know,
Is that
like
the
how hard
topic?
he feels about it or what, you know.
I don't know what the
I'll
topic
define,
is.
because I'm not like your everyday Christian, right? So I'll define what I think Christianity is. I don't think it's a religion. I think when you look at Roman Catholicism or these Protestant organizations and institutions, I call that churchianity. I think Christianity is just the reality in which we are born in. There is a God. There is Jesus Christ, historically proven. He died for our sins. He rose again on the third day, and that's just life. We're all born into it. We can't change it. We just have to deal with it, and we all die in
How
this,
did
in
Noah
that same
come to
world,
this
right?
understanding?
What?
How did Noah come to that understanding?
By listening to his heart and just being a good man, right?
Noah somehow knew that Jesus Christ existed and died and was crucified and resurrected 3 days later.
I don't actually. How do you know he knew that?
I'm asking you.
I don't think he knew that. I think he knew of the higher
Then-
power, though, his creator.
Okay, then why would God? So if Christianity is those things, but Jesus, there were billions of years before Jesus, then what's going on here?
Billions? Where do you get billions from? How do you know that?
Simple observations.
You
in
observed
science.
billions of years?
We can see billions of light years. The only acceptable conclusion from that is that billions of years.
What's a
have
light
passed.
year?
The distance light travels in 1 year.
Is it different from every experience?
I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, there's new science coming out of that. I'm a software engineer, and I also study science and stuff. I love science, which was created by Christians, by the way. And so,
which is literally false, by the way.
That's not false at all.
No, it's absolutely false. There was absolutely science going on pre-Christianity in the Roman Empire, for example, and the Greeks. And Ibn al-Haytham, Francis Bacon gets credited with the scientific method, because he was a Westerner, and so are you, and so am I. But Ibn al-Haytham absolutely laid out a kind of scientific method that is actually closer in spirit to the one we practice today, because Francis Bacon, for whatever reason, was like, math? You don't have to do math. What? He didn't think math and science should really be married. It's actually
okay, so it sounds like the topic is Eon's form of Christianity true? And with that being said, in this bloodbath. Right now, Planet Peterson is immune to mutes and kicks. I'm just going to say he's immune to kicks. We normally allow mutes in the bloodbath, so you can mute any panelist for a minute.
Oh, so I'm going to be the guinea pig. Okay.
If it gets overwhelming, though, I'm going to turn that off and make them both immune to it. So don't be overwhelming with it. You can add a debater to the bloodbath for $25, but I'm going to say let's not remove debaters from this bloodbath. So if you absolutely feel like you have something to say and you have to jump in, it's $25 to jump in and side with one of the sides. Other than that, let's have a good, clean fight. No low blows. We've got about 55 minutes to make something happen here. So if in about 45 minutes there isn't one of the sides conceding, we're going to go ahead and call it. But I think Eon will end up conceding prior to this, debating Planet Peterson himself here, who he said he defeated previously, but didn't know who he was talking about.
I was wrong. It was somebody else. I forget his name, though.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Bloodbath engaged.
So I want to go back to what we were talking about before we started talking about science, which is that you said Christianity is, and then sort of these
right
your
reality.
Well, no, because you said it is Jesus lived, died, was resurrected.
Right, it's the reality in which we live,
and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so before Jesus, there was no Christianity, but Christianity is synonymous with reality.
Well, you're right in saying that before Jesus, there was no Christianity. Christianity is following Jesus. It's followers of Jesus. Jesus is the way. Before Jesus was Judaism.
These are just mushy mouth nothingness's.
But reality,
it's just useless. It's just useless sophistry. Christianity is reality. Also, exists, Christianity is Jesus's life and death. So before Jesus, there was no Christianity, which means there was no reality either.
Can we start somewhere where we can agree? So, do you agree that there is a reality, some sort of energy or force that we cannot change, that we are born into?
I can change reality. I just did.
Can you change the past of reality before you were born?
Can I change the past before I was born? I doubt it.
Right. I don't think we can either. So do you agree that we're born into a world?
Your argument is that reality is contingent
control,
upon me. And that's not true. I'm just an example of somebody in reality. If somebody in the past that is a person existing, manipulating the environment, is them changing reality too. So
you said you agree with science, right?
I lift my cup. Yes, and you don't.
No, I do. And historically, scientifically,
you reject the billions of years.
That's a man named Jesus Christ existed and was crucified by Pontius Pilate.
Probably, but that's not science.
Well, Bart Ehrman will disagree with you. It is historical science, and so. But I would say this:
absolutely not science.
The kinds of science we have for studying science, dude.
No,
that's not. Observing your reality is not science.
You're observing reality right now. Are you doing science right now? No.
Yes.
So thank you. But anyway, yeah, you're saying that because you have to say that. But we have types of science for studying the past, like archaeology, and there isn't a shred of any archaeological evidence in support of anything that happens that concerns Jesus Christ.
Well, I would say that there's more evidence for Jesus Christ than there is for evolution.
Well, you would be wrong.
Okay, prove it.
It's your claim.
Okay, well, do you agree that there was a man historically proven that was called Jesus Christ who died for claiming to be
zero
God?
Evidence of it, but I think that he probably existed.
You don't think the Bible is historical evidence?
It's the claim. It certainly isn't historical.
It's quite ahistorical scholars, right?
What?
The Bible is a historical document, even to secular scientists like Bart Ehrman.
No, I don't think that they would say stuff like that.
Ain't right.
And real fast, Soul Cipher asks,
okay.
is dark matter proof?
I kind of want to. Oh, sorry, Taco, go ahead.
Yeah, Soul Cipher asked, is dark matter proof not all truth is visible?
He has to prove that there is such thing as dark matter. I think that's a made-up imaginary thing.
Oh.
You don't agree that the rotation of galaxies, that the observable matter does not account for what is able to make them rotate at the speed they rotate at?
I think things work the way God created them to work, and they rotate the way God created them to work.
You're 100% ignorant about everything about dark matter, aren't you?
Define dark matter.
Name two of the most. Name the two scientists that sort of pioneered our
Why
knowledge
should I
of
name
dark
two
matter.
scientists that pioneered some imaginary dark matter
If you know it,
to fill
well,
in
because I have a
blanks in their
hypothesis
equations
that you know
didn't work
nothing
without the
about it,
blanks,
and
dude?
that's how you could falsify my claim, but you can't. So I'm right.
So if I was a scientist,
You don't want to go with Vera Rubin and Fritz Zwicky,
Okay,
by
so
the way.
I just want to
So
ask
in the
you a
few
que-
ducks.
Okay, Prius. So
No.
there's a. So I just want to ask you. So if I went to college, and I just regurgitated whatever my teachers taught me, and I got a degree, I could then.
Sounds like going to church.
So
yeah,
if
that
I have a
would be
problem
stupid.
in a math equation talking about astrology, I could just make up something
No
in
such
my
thing as
imagination that
astrology.
helps my equation without any
God, you
sort
really
of
don't know
proof or
anything
evidence
about
or
anything.
observation whatsoever. Do you think that's evidence?
You don't know anything about anything. Astrology, horoscopes, they don't teach astrology in physics courses
Horoscope?
at colleges.
What are you, an
Yeah,
Aries?
you said
I'm an
astrology.
Aries.
That explains a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't explain anything. So what's your problem with science? In
I never
science,
said
if you
I
have
had
a
problem
question,
with science.
you...
I have a problem with pseudoscience. And it seems like you have a thing where you're calling what pseudoscience, you're calling pseudoscience science.
I promise that you don't know what pseudoscience is.
It's something that doesn't fit into the scientific method. Like earlier, when
No,
you
that's
said that
not
you
what
observed billions
pseudoscience
of years,
is.
how the hell do you
The concept
do you
of
observe
pseudoscience
billions
in the
of years, my
philosophy of
dude?
science was popularized by Karl Popper. He gives a very distinct description of what pseudoscience is, and you don't know what it is.
Then what is?
So you just
then
you
give me the
don't
definition
like.
of pseudoscience.
How is it that you don't even know what the non-trivial words in the language you're speaking mean? How do you do this?
There's
Well,
a
just
super
because
chat
you say something
clarification,
doesn't
Eon,
make it true?
from one of the audience members.
Yeah,
Kieran
what is
Dave
that?
says astrology is not a physics subject. Thank you so much for the super chat.
That's true. Astrology. Well, actually, there's a lot of physics that go into astrology, but that's beyond the point. I think this conversation is
No,
beyond
there isn't.
astrology, though, because really it's about pseudoscience versus reality, right? And that's really what it is imagination, your religion, versus reality. And I think Christ is reality.
That's interesting. So the Bible says the earth was created about 6,000 years ago. That's your view?
Give or take. I mean, there's some other
What is the
views,
acceptable
like,
range?
well,
What
hold
is
on,
the
I'll give
acceptable
you,
range of distances we should
well,
be
hold
able
on.
to see if that's the
Well,
case?
hold on. Let me explain what I actually believe, right? So you're not battling a straw man. Like there's some people that say the Earth is flat, right? I don't care. I don't think the Earth
People
is
like
flat.
you,
I
yeah.
I think the Earth is a sphere. Why? Because it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you accepting the reality, which is love, which is God, which is Christ, or are you
Prove that Satan didn't write the New Testament.
Only
Go ahead.
losers run away, dude.
Yeah, like the guy that won't answer this simple question. Prove that Satan didn't write the New Testament.
Well, I'll give you a couple of reasons, right? Why would Satan write the New Testament when
I didn't
the
ask
ending
you to
of
come
the
up with a
story of the
question
New
that I don't
Testament
know the answer to.
is?
Prove to me that Satan
Are you
didn't
going to allow
write
me to answer,
the
or do
New
you just want me
Testament.
to let you talk?
You didn't answer. You didn't
Okay,
even try
well,
to answer.
tell me when you're
You
done,
tried to ask me a question that you think I don't know the answer to, which isn't you answering my question. Prove that's well, I'm not really asking you a question, but prove that Satan
Yeah, I
didn't
know.
write
That's
the New
why
Testament.
it's like just crap, right? Like you're not really asking me anything.
Okay, so I know this wasn't the topic of the bloodbath, but I take your concession. You can't do this. So what do you want to talk about?
No, I
next?
just said the proof is the ending of the narrative of the New Testament. Why would Satan write it when Satan is cast into the everlasting fire and destroyed for everlasting ever in the end times? Why would Satan? Is Satan a masochist or what?
Because if the point is that if you believe that, then you don't go to heaven, then that's exactly what he would do.
Well, no. What makes, and I tell people
No,
this
not
all the
no.
time, right? Because right now you're
If
creating a
believing
straw man argument.
in the New Testament sends you to hell, then whatever the New Testament is exactly what Satan would have written. So prove
What
that he didn't
sends
write
you
it.
to hell is being
Yeah, I know. Satan,
stupid, right?
Satan said that to trick you to believe it, and you do believe
Real
it. Your
bad
soul
man.
is eternally
okay,
cursed.
so it
And you
seems like
can't
you
do
don't know
anything
how to
about
do
this.
any sort of form of like questioning that means something. So I'll ask you a question.
I take your concession. What do you want to talk about
I'll
next?
concede to that nonsense. So here's this. So here's some meaningful questions. Have you ever felt love?
Probably.
Did you know that in Christianity, God is love, and when you feel love, that is God?
That doesn't describe what God is.
You said
You're
that
doing
you
the equivalent of
experienced
saying
God.
you're just giving. It's almost tautological. It's kind of like you're saying the floor is floor, but really you're just saying the floor is lava. And then somebody goes, "What's lava?" Lava is the floor. So God is love, and love is God. You still haven't described.
Well, you're missing the
what love
part
is.
that you're actually experiencing stepping on that floor.
And real fast, Benjamin
Explain
Horowitz.
what love is.
Like
Benjamin
you
Hor-
said that you agree that you experienced love. So
And-
so if
and real fast,
if you've
Jan?
experienced that. Oh, go ahead, Taco.
Yeah. So Benjamin Horowitz has a comment. He said, "You just called him delusional hypocrite." Thank you so
He
much.
is delusional.
for the super chat, Ian. He was talking to you.
Yeah, no, he's talking to me, but I mean, I think it's delusional to reject reality and reject your own experiences, like when you experience love and envy and joy. All these things
What is love?
encompass to God.
What is love?
Love is God.
What is God?
Love.
So
well, here, let me ask
when
you the same thing. What is love? What is love?
No, you asked me your questions. So if you, it's on you that you wasted your questions. Now it's my turn. Do you agree that when agents like you and I experience love, that's an emotional experience?
Yeah, I think when you experience God, is very emotional.
I asked you about love. Well, you say
God
the
is
same
love.
thing, and our brains are what. Like that's kind of like where our emotional experience comes from. It's like from the brain.
Do you believe in science and cause and reaction?
That was a yes or no question. Please don't answer my question with a question.
Well, it implied yes. Yes, and now I'm asking a follow-up.
God is a figment of our imagination, as admitted by you. Thank you.
No, it's not imagination. It's
no,
a
not no.
reaction.
Yes, you literally just said that it exists in our brains.
So our brains
welcome to
our
atheism.
brains are chemical reactions, and I asked you if you believe in science,
no, they
where you need cause to have a reaction, right? What causes that chemical reaction of love?
Neurons firing in a particular sequence.
What causes those neurons?
What causes neurons to fire or neurons to exist?
Neurons to fire in the way that causes the chemical reaction for love.
Action potentials.
Okay. Now you see where this is going, right? What causes
you're gonna say it's ultimately gonna get to why does universe, and nobody, especially you, has any idea.
Well, I don't know if you ever talked to T-Jump. I have, and I got him on one thing.
I would never do that.
Okay, well, he believes that there needs to be a mind to experience things for reality to exist, and then well, his problem is when you go down to the ultimate implications of that. Well, God is the mind that causes all things. And so T-Jump actually believes in God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's clarify.
The debate.
What do you think the ontology of God is, Ian?
The ontology? I think you could sum up God with one thing, which is love. Now, love, and this is why...
Which is something that exists in our minds.
No, it's
admitted
something
by
that,
you.
Okay, so there's many layers, like an onion has layers. So love has a cause, okay? Now that cause causes a reaction. Now you would end there at that chemical reaction, right? But I'm saying that
if there, Eon, if there were no conscious creatures in the universe, then would anything be experiencing love?
I believe so.
What would be experiencing love?
God.
But God exists in our, but love is something that only those creatures experience. So without them, there's no love. Therefore, there is no God. Vine boom, cue it up.
That doesn't match up, dude. So God can exist without any of us existing or anything existing.
Well, then God isn't love. God isn't that
How
thing.
can
that
he
we
not be love?
experience.
How can that prove that?
Before the universe existed, there was God, right?
Yeah, God existed before all things.
And was there also love?
God is love. He's the definition of it.
Okay, so you're just saying that God is God. So if A equals B
What's
and
wrong
B
with that?
equals A, then
What's wrong with God is God?
It doesn't mean
wrong with that?
anything. It's a completely meaningless statement.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something
What's
ain't
wrong
right.
with saying God is God the way you described it? What's wrong with that?
I didn't
How's
tell
that
you that
make
there was
me wrong
anything
at all?
wrong
You
with
didn't
it,
make a
but it
point at
doesn't
all.
it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't describe anything.
Okay, then what's
it
your
doesn't
point?
help in any way. Do you know about Shambhagook?
Well, according to you, love is just some like random chaos that just came up and there's no purpose to
That
it.
has nothing to do with my question, which is, do you know what Shambhagook is?
Why should I know what Shambhagook is?
Because it's like literally fundamental to all of reality.
Is there anything historical or any sort of scientific evidence for it?
Shambhagook is reality itself. So like I don't need somebody. I don't need some
Are you
idiot to
your
write a
only
book
source, or do
and
you
then
have
a
another
bunch of
source
kings
for
to
that?
rewrite the book for their own preferences multiple times over.
Are
to have
you
the book
your
be
only
corrupted.
source, or is there
My
another source for that?
Shambhagook is uncorrupted by mere mortals, unlike your belief system. So,
Well, it
do you
seems like
know
you're
about
just making
Shambhagook?
up your reality.
Because reality
just like the
doesn't
whole
exist without
transgenderism
Shambhagook.
thing.
Are you?
Well,
do you know about
I don't see
Shambhagook?
how that
It's a
analogy
yes or no
doesn't
question.
fit, dude. But like that analogy just doesn't work because I have historical things that backs up what I believe. You
That
are
have
just
been-
making that up on the spot.
First
The
of all, you
analogy
don't.
doesn't
Second of all, what you
fit.
have has been
It
corrupted.
doesn't like a 5-year-old would know that, dude.
So,
What's
do
wrong
you
with
know
you?
about Shambhagook or not?
Why should I know about? You just made it up on the spot.
Yeah, just like God. Yeah, woke out
Prove it.
non-stamp collector.
Prove it. That's a good story, bro. Can you prove it?
All right, and there's a super chat.
Since you didn't prove, or wait, how do I want to say this?
You didn't prove nothing.
Since you can just dismiss Shambhagook, then I can just dismiss what you
because
believe.
there's a super
you can't
chat.
because it doesn't match, bro. Because you just made it up. I'm not just making up what I believe on the spot. I have a
I know you were dumb enough to
standard behind
believe
it,
what a
which
bunch
has
of idiots
historical and
thousands of years ago
scientific
came up
evidence
with.
behind it, dude.
All right, guys.
I have
so
the Bible,
audience
Holy
are my
Scripture.
bosses, and when they submit questions, I have to address them or statements. So real fast, because they allow me to do this, they are the bosses of this show. Kieran Dave, one of the bosses, says Shambhagook is precious to me too, agreeing with Planet Peterson. Thank you so much, boss.
Yeah, so when somebody just says a word and that word is not in reference to anything, and then what I was gonna say is Shambhagook.
My word that I'm saying is reference to historical data and the Bible, which is a historical document. You are just historical data. I have. I mean, can we both agree? Like Bart Ehrman agrees, Jesus existed. He was killed for claiming to be God.
I don't believe in
He was
magic.
crucified. Now, the only
Neither does
thing that
Bart
we
Ehrman.
have in contention is that if Jesus was resurrected or not. But I would say we have 500 witnesses for that historically.
No, you do not.
And then I also have anecdotal evidence myself and thousands of others, hundreds of thousands, millions of other anecdotal evidence of Christ being true and people's lives changing for the better when they accept Christ into their life. What do you have?
I got a purple hippopotamus.
Gotcha. Jay Money says that this is
not even remotely true.
I'm making
he says
like
that hippo chilling
$1 million
back
more than it was last year.
Did you say $1 million?
Oh.
You know that you're not going to go to heaven, right?
Thank you, Jay Money.
Well, I give 70% of my income to charity.
What?
I give 70% of my income to charity.
That's nowhere close to enough. How much money do you have?
Me? I mean, I drive a Toyota.
Okay. What did Jesus say about having wealth?
Well, he didn't say anything in particular. He talked to an individual with an individual circumstance to prove to the guy that he's not perfect.
What did Jesus say about people with wealth and going and inheriting the kingdom of heaven?
He said it's harder for wealthy people to go into heaven, to see the kingdom of God. It's like a camel going through a,
So we should tax the wealthy.
But see, the problem is that I became a Christian.
Them.
I was born again before I became wealthy.
It doesn't matter.
Dave.
Well, hey, people can laugh, but
Cutlery Duck says Both you heathens are wrong. Duck God is the truth. Thank you so much.
I
for the
thought
super
when
chat.
you change the subject, that's an automatic L.
Well, it's a negative point
bloodbath.
for the
Is
voters.
it
and
me
if,
changing the
and then
subject, or
if
was it
they
you changing the
continue to
subject?
do that, then it is an L.
You changed the subject.
But
to
you can pull
politics.
it back in,
How
and
did I
it's just
change
a
the
negative
subject?
point, right? And then Singer's
By
Soul.
bringing up politics.
And then Singer's Soul has a question for
Well,
Eon.
I think
what are
reality.
you appealing
I
to
think
determine
Christianity
what
has
this God
everything to do with the world we live in, right?
Eon, one of the bosses has a question. What are you appealing to determine what this God thing is? Can I find this God thing and confirm what you're saying?
Mhm.
I'm sure you think God is more than just love and it's an entity out here, right?
Yes, that's a good question. I would say when you experience love, and everyone does, or envy, right? That's a big one. When you experience love and envy, it's God showing you through His creation Himself. Whenever you feel love for your, like, let's say you have kids. Let's say you have
Hey, there
like
are gay people that love each other, and it's God doing that.
I'll tell you. I mean, do you want me to go through my testimony? Because I used to be an atheist, just like these people.
That's up to Eric. I just have to read the super chats right from the bosses.
Okay, well, Aaron, like I used to be an atheist,
no
just like
interest
these
in
people.
hearing
I used
whatever
to
your
not
story
want
is.
to take accountability or responsibility for my own actions. I thought when I went
Okay,
out,
so can you
and
just
had
answer
one-night
yes or
stands-
no then? Do you think God is more than just a love, and it's actually an existent entity?
See, that's a good. No, God is love, right? God is
Okay.
love, and so love is actually very powerful. love is the key to reality, right?
Okay, well,
That's
thank you so much for the super chat, Singer Soul.
Like
I
atheists
hope I
who
got you
don't
something
no
out of
purpose
that.
in their life.
I tried my best. And then Kieran Dave says, Eon definitely pivoted to politics. He's not going to win the debate if all he does is crash out this way. Doesn't he know that? That's a great
I'm
point.
not crashing out. I'm pointing out the obvious, right?
All right, now it
I'm
seems
just
like
pointing out
Eon's
the
been
obvious.
getting
I'm
a
sorry
lot
you
of
guys are
questions from the
snowflakes
audience
and emotional
and
about
been
the reality
asking
of life. Right?
Eric a bunch of questions. Eric, do you have any questions for Eon here, maybe to help make your case?
Totes, yeah. Are you a saved by faith alone person or faith and works?
What does the Bible say?
I'm asking you.
Yeah, but I'm questioning. I'm clarifying. Do you even know what the Bible says?
Pretend that I don't. It's completely irrelevant.
Well, the
because I'm
Bible,
asking
Scripture,
you.
Holy Scripture says that faith is by grace, right? By grace, through faith, we are saved. And so Jesus Christ fulfilled the old law.
Story.
The
That's
old law
really answered my
was what
question.
we could do.
Anyways,
Christ fulfilled
so
it.
your worldview does not incentivize good behavior at all. So this thing about
Really?
degenerate worth.
Cutlery Duck says nothing worse than a monster who thinks he's right with God. Mal Reynolds. Eon exposing himself right now. What exactly
Okay,
does
God
this charity do?
chastises me all
Thank you
the
for the
time.
super
I'm
chat.
never right with God, apparently, because God always chastises me.
Sounds
I'm a
masochistic, I
human.
guess,
I'm
but-
imperfect, right? Jesus was
So
perfect.
if the worst person who ever lived did fully believe that Jesus died on the cross for them, then that person would go to heaven, right?
Jesus loves you, and he died on the cross
so
for
your
you.
worldview doesn't incentivize good behavior
And
at all,
Taco.
because ultimately none of this matters.
Argument.
There is no such thing as right and wrong in your worldview.
What
You
do you
can't
mean?
condemn anything.
My worldview is what defines what's right and wrong. You borrow from it.
No, it doesn't. You don't.
Okay,
There
tell
is
me
no
why
such
it's
thing as
wrong.
right and
Okay,
worldview.
tell me why it's wrong for someone
In your
to
worldview,
have
it
sex
can't
with,
be because they can go to heaven
with,
anyway just by having faith in Jesus.
Well, hold on.
What's
now
the
you're
point
talking about
of
morality.
heaven and
Do you
hell?
believe morality is subjective?
This is according to you. We're blowing up your worldview.
Well, according to me, you borrow from
What is
my
the point of
worldview to
heaven
know
and
what's
hell?
right and wrong.
What is the purpose of heaven and hell?
The purpose is to divide those who want to be their own gods versus those who accept their reality.
Okay, so somebody can do literally, it doesn't matter what anybody does ever, as long as they have faith in Jesus, they go to heaven.
Well, no, because when people know Jesus, it has to do with
Your
love.
religion is false
and you
according
live
to you.
in love and charity and hope and faith when you have Jesus in your life. When you accept reality, you live your what you believe, right?
Completely
So-
contradicted yourself.
Hold on.
because
Let me give you a good
because earlier you
analogy.
said the worst person
Let
who
me
ever
give-
lived, as long as they had faith in Jesus Christ, they would go to heaven.
Okay.
So
Well,
you don't
let
believe
me
in
give you a
anything.
good analogy real quick, right? So the good analogy is I believe in
Chad, I
God.
promise
right?
this won't be good.
It will be. So if someone truly believes that their ceiling is going to fall on their whole family and themselves in 5 minutes, if they truly believe that, they would get off their chair, unless they have a death wish. They would get off their chair, get their family out of the house instantly, if you truly believe that. And so I truly believe in God.
People's asking you to describe the process from the Big Bang to today as to how we got to trees.
Prove the Big Bang. Where'd that come from?
Well, he's
Someone's
asking
imagination?
you to describe it coherently, right? So can you
What?
provide this description
Describe
of how we got from
creation?
the Big Bang to trees?
Well, he's assuming Big Bang. He has to prove that first.
So is
The
that
question is, how do
Is
you
Big Bang a
account for
theory?
it?
yeah, he's asking how do you account for trees?
God created them.
All right, so I'll add another one to the tracker, Professor Hizzle. Thank you so much for the super chat. We are now
How
at
does he account for trees?
we are now at 59 out of 59 atheists. Feel free to get added to the tracker if you want. Planet Peterson, you feel free, or you don't have to. It's time consuming. 0 out of 33 Christians have provided a coherent account for trees, and then there's people of other groups as well. Sorry about the interruption. Just had to update the tracker.
Yeah, I think this is about taking responsibility and accountability for your own actions. God, in the view of Christianity, and we know all nations that accept, like the United States, by the way, is a Christian nation.
It
Christian
literally
nations
isn't.
tend
Never
to
has.
thrive.
No, they don't. It's
It
the
has been
exact
since the
opposite
founding
of that.
fathers. Prove it, because I could show you. I could show you that. Well, one, they were Protestants and they hated Catholics, and they didn't let Catholics vote, and the nation was supposed to be a white Christian nation. That's what the founding fathers.
Are you
all who
stumping for
signed the
Catholics
Bill of
now all of a
Rights-
sudden? I thought you weren't a Catholic.
No, I said that the founding fathers hated Catholics. They didn't let them vote in most states.
Yeah, so now you're stumping for Catholics?
But it was a Christian nation. No, the point
The
is,
Christian
it was
nation
a
that
Christian
oppressed
nation.
Christians was a Christian nation?
How did it oppress Christians?
Did they let Christians vote?
Versus real? And you don't, because you haven't read your Bible.
It would be good.
Why is God eternally is all-knowing, right? But I believe God can also limit his knowledge like he did with Jesus Christ, where Jesus lowered himself lower than the angels and emptied himself and became a man to suffer, live, and so we can relate to him, and die and be resurrected for our sins.
Eon, eternally impotent, outclassed, nobody. So they used your name.
Okay,
as a play on
give
words.
tacos some money.
And then
Let's
Benjamin
go.
Horowitz says the government of the United States
your coping.
is in no sense founded on the Christian religion. John Adams, Treaty of Tripoli, ratified unanimously in 1797.
Oh.
It was founded on the Christian religion with Christian morals and values.
Literally
Where do you think our
wasn't.
justice system comes from?
Thank you, Benjamin.